Welcome to Journey to Queendom. This is your season of reign, a season of shedding survival, releasing fear, and stepping into the woman who God called you to be. You weren't created just to endure life, you were created to reign in it. Let's begin. Hey everyone, welcome back to Journey to Queendom, Season 2. Are you enjoying the episodes so far? Please leave me a note, leave a review, let me know what this podcast means to you and how it is affecting your own journey to queendom. So today, I want to get into when strength isn't enough and learning how to be held. You know, I'm realizing something about myself, something I never really examined before. I really don't think about how much people love me. You know, the people in my life, my community, my family. I don't factor how much God loves me. You know, I don't really think about that a lot in my daily awareness. You know, as I'm moving through life, day by day, moment by moment, I realize I don't really think about love. And I absolutely don't think about it in a crisis, you know, or a tribulation or a trial or a dark place, you know. I don't think about love a lot. And so my instinct has been just to power through the day. Don't think about it, you know, in terms of the step by step. You keep the end in mind and you just go in that direction, right? You bear down, you get it done, keep moving on to the next thing, and soon it will be over. And you can rest or you can zone out, right? Or whatever I put at the end of the trial or the day or the tribulation in order to get through it. And I'm asking myself, you know, now more than any time in my life, why is that my process? Why won't I allow myself to be present in each moment? Well, because, you know, powering through didn't come from nowhere. It came from learning very early that slowing down wasn't really safe, you know, that feeling too much could overwhelm me, that needing help could cost me more than it gave me. So my body learned that you hold it together at all costs. My nervous system learned that staying present meant exposure without the ability to protect yourself. So I chose momentum instead. That's why my instinct is to move on to the next thing. You know, that motion keeps my nervous system regulated, whereas that stillness activates the idea that there may be danger here. Now, of course, all of this was not something that I did intentionally. It's something that has been learned through my body, and my body is just doing it. You know, it's just doing it. And, you know, for a while that strategy worked, you know, until it didn't, until I am no longer asking what's wrong with me, you know, why am I like this? This is just the way that I am. Allowing my body to dictate to me how I move through the world. But instead, I'm asking, what happened to me? You know, what do I need to uncover and reveal about trauma in my life or history to adjust how I move forward? Because what I know is that it doesn't feel good when I'm in these moments of turmoil and my body is tightening. It does not feel good. And it almost feels like I am hurting myself if I allow my body to be in total lockdown, protection, emergency mode more than it is in rest and joy and ease. And I don't like it. I no longer need to be in that type of heightened awareness. I desire peace. I long for closeness and connection. Why? Because God has been doing a work in my heart and in my body. And for the first time, I'm finally realizing that those systems of the past are no longer applicable to the way in which my life is moving and where God wants me to go, and the beauty that is still left to experience, right? You know, recently I've been undergoing some chemotherapy for my blood cancer that I have, and it's a milder, if you can say that, form of chemotherapy. It's not the red devil chemo that most people think of when they hear that word. This type of chemo is still a bunch of poisons that they inject into your body, and your body is like, what are you doing to me? So that's still relevant, but it doesn't come with hair loss, and the violently ill symptoms that most people undergoing chemotherapy experience. I have a different set of side effects that I experience. But when this became an option that I would have to seriously think about and agree to participate in, I realized something very unsettling. I realized that I hadn't really talked through how I personally felt about this. You know, I'm sitting there with my oncologist and he's saying, okay, here's the action that we need to take in order to get this under control. And chemo is the option. And I hear the words, and immediately in my mind, I say to myself, okay, that's what we need to do. I'll bear down and I'll get it done. And soon it will be over. So I didn't really allow myself to think about what that meant. I didn't allow myself to think what the process was. I didn't even allow myself to really hear the side effects and all of that stuff that he was communicating to me. I heard it, but it really wasn't going in my body. What I was thinking was, I can do it. I'll get through. It will be done. And then I will be cancer free. And that's the end of that. But what I didn't anticipate first, I'm used to going through this process with everything. Like anything hard, this is my philosophy. Don't whine about it, get her done, right? But I didn't anticipate how hard it would be on the people that love me, right? The people in my community, my husband. And I remember him calling me one day and communicating to me. I was, at work or whatever. I was working late. And I think I had just texted him the details of chemo. And, I wanted to let him know about the dates and times because he was going to walk through it with me, which I didn't require. I was like, I can go by myself. I can get it done. But of course, he was like, you will not. um, and so I had just sent him this text message. And then he called me and was like, I'm really having a hard time with this. It makes me think of all of these different things. And I don't want to imagine my life without you, Marci. I love you and I want to hold your hand through this, but I am shattered for you. And I'm having a hard time with this. And as he was communicating to me how he was feeling about this process, my first instinct was, wow, I never considered that he would have difficulty, that he would be feeling some kind of way, because it's happening to me, right? I'm the one that's going through it. So I bear all of the load. It's all on me. So if there's something to be felt, it's only going to be me. I didn't even consider what my husband was feeling, what my sons were feeling, what my siblings were feeling, what my mom was feeling. I didn't even think about that because I wasn't raised in a world where people carried emotional weight for me. I carried it on my own. And not only did I carry it, I didn't even think about the weight that other people were carrying in response to that, right? I carried it myself. So something really broke in me, and not broke in a way that it harmed me, but it broke open in a way that increased the intimacy between my husband and myself. In that moment of him sharing, him walking through the process of dealing with this idea of chemo, it prompted me to be honest with how I felt about going through chemo. You know, the questions that I had: what if I don't recover? What if I'm not strong enough to manage this? What if I break? What if Joe breaks? And then came the deeper layer: we will endure together. We will be in the trenches together. I won't be alone. I will have that connection and that presence and that support and that love to share the burden, right? And it was so interesting because it never dawned on me before, ever. You know, my body learned a long time ago, don't soften. You know, before, my instincts was to escape hardship or to brace for impact. Yeah. But now what I'm doing is I'm learning that God is not outside of the hardship. He's not waiting for me on the other side. He is in it with me, right? That my community, my family, my network, they are very much willing to bear the burdens with me, to get into the deep with me, right? And that is where intimacy is developed. That is where trust is built. That is where closeness and being present and courage is built. That is where God shows me his hand. That's where we walk together. That's where he invites me to soften. And that's where I realize I was never, ever mandated to do anything on my own. You see, in hardship, my reflex has been to run, to control, to fix, to make things work at any cost. Surrender never crossed my mind. Because, of course, in the past, surrender felt terrifying. And it absolutely does still to this day, which is the area that God is working to heal in me. But surrender is absolutely where God shows me that he is trustworthy. And it is absolutely necessary. But another thing that I realize is that in order to surrender, I don't necessarily have to feel ready. I don't have to feel good about it. Those are not prerequisites. Surrender oftentimes is not at the point where you feel ready. It's at the point where you do feel afraid. You do feel scared. You're not certain what's going to happen if you surrender, right? So, in response to surrendering, yeah, my body wanted to run because it was convinced that I'm going to fail, that I'll go blank, that I won't get the help that I need. And those thoughts, they come fast and furious. They are relentless. I am doing a show here in Virginia, and it's a one-person show. And I have been battling constant thoughts of fear. And what if I fail? And what if I go blank? And I'm out there by myself and I can't recover, right? Constant. And not only were the thoughts coming fast and furious, but then my body responded. My stomach is tightening. I'm I don't, my appetite is gone. I'm bracing for impact, right? I'm working around the clock to make sure that my words are in my head and that they don't escape me. They don't fall out of my head. And the joy that I normally get from this process is so far away from me. It feels so far away because my body is fighting for its safety. My nervous system is triggered and is shouting, get out, get out. It's also like, okay, bear down, get it done, get it over with. But at the same time, y'all, at the same time, because what I'm doing differently now is that I'm bringing all of this very raw, very honest to God. And I'm saying, Lord, I am fearful. I am afraid. I need you to help me. I don't have the ability to do this without you. And so the Spirit of God is speaking softly to me in these moments. I am here. You are not alone. You are safe with me. You don't have to overpower your fear. You don't have to outrun it. You don't have to plan an escape or hope for the end. Stay in it. Stay in it. Fearful or not, Marci, stay in it because I'll be in it with you. And y'all, it's been a constant fight. And there was one show when the very thing happened that I feared. I went blank. I was out there alone, trying to find my way, scrambling, right? The stage manager had to throw me a bone and feed me a line. And then I was able to find my way back and finish the show. But here's the miracle, because it happened. It happened. But the miracle is when something like that happens to me, I normally will punish myself. I let shame clothe me like all over. And I go behind closed doors and I cry and I weep and I ask, why? Where were you? Why didn't you help me? And it just goes on and on and on. It just goes on and on and on. But here's the miracle. When I got off stage, I got back in that dressing room. And for the millisecond that I wanted to punish myself, I didn't. Before that, it would have sent me into self-attack mode. I would have been doing extra work between shows to ensure that didn't happen again. Endless analysis, beating myself up to make sure it never, ever, ever happened again. And then the questions would come. Why did you allow that, God? Why did that have to happen? But this time, something different happened. God, in that moment, whispered a scripture to me, just in my spirit. Boom. Psalms 91:5. You will not be afraid of the terror of night, nor of the arrow that flies by day. Psalms 91:5. And then I further investigated and I read the whole chapter, and this stuck out to me. This is verse 14 and 15. Because he set his love on me, because I set my love on him, therefore, God says, I will save you. I will set you securely on high because you know my name. Confidently trust and rely on me, knowing I will never abandon you, ever. I will call and give my angels charge over you. I will answer you. I will be in the trouble with you. I will rescue you and honor you. And friends, that changed the game for me because finally my heart was open to receive exactly what God was saying. Marci, the moment happened because you are human. You are human. Simple as that. But you got through because I'm with you. And guess what? That moment will no longer plague you, will no longer cause you terror. Because you chose to honor me in that moment, I am honoring you. So fear doesn't get the final word. Shame didn't get control over the narrative. The enemy of my soul did not get to rewrite what I know to be true. Instead, honey, I declared that chapter over myself. I went right back out there for the next show, and it was a beautiful show. But even that, the fact that it was a beautiful show is amazing. But what really is amazing is that I felt the presence of God with me, holding me, working in me, not after the trial, in the trial. That is a nervous system being healed by the hand of God. You know, when you factor in love, then you can imagine people helping and loving you. You don't fear love. You once feared that it was unreliable, but now your nervous system is learning the difference. You know, there's something about chemo. It's not something you win by pushing harder. You win by allowing. That requires a different kind of strength. The strength to receive, the strength to trust the process, trust the presence of God, trust the people around you, trust your loved ones. God never asked me to bear down, power through, keep moving. He just asked me to trust him, to surrender, to allow him to do the work in me in the trial. And I think this season isn't about me proving that I can endure, but it's about me learning that I don't have to. I don't have to survive alone. I can soften, I can lean, I can be held, I can make mistakes, I can be human, and love is still there to meet me. I can still lean on my community. I can learn to be held in the presence of God during a trial, held and supported during chemo by my family and the loved ones that I have. Listen, I hope that you are able to hear what resonates with you, especially if you've built a life on being the strong one. You know I see you. Strength got you here, but let love carry you forward. Let softness and trust and surrender be redefined in your life so that it is no longer triggering, but it's an act of self-care. This is your journey to Queendom. Reign well. Thank you so much for being here on Journey to Queendom. This is your season. Every step you take toward healing, truth, and courage is a step into who you were meant to be. Stand tall, walk boldly. Your reign starts now. This podcast was brought to you by Artists at Play, nurturing the artist within.